discussion of solutions, not just for the third, the fourth, the entire city, because they're spreading out. And pretty soon, yeah, no, I agree. But if you look at the legislation we put in place to shut down certain areas, not the entire city. I think that was one of the biggest ones we did.
Okay.
We didn't look at legislation to say that everything was going to be shut down at a particular time. Because once you say, I can't sell drugs on Rosa Park in Hamilton, I'm going to find a location to sell my drugs. And wherever it may be.
They're going to move to another area.
Prostitution. You run them off of Van Houten, they're going to go to Market. You run them off of Market, they're going to come up out of Park. And they've done that already. Right, they've done that already. So I'm hoping that we're talking about a solid, real solution to the issues that we have. Because if we don't, we're going to be back and forth here talking about the same identical thing with no solution.
Okay, before Mike come to you, I just want to say this here. One of the things that we definitely have to understand that drugs is a superpower. It's a superpower. It's a political power. Okay? And when you talk about dealing with distribution, that's what you mentioned, right?
I'm referring to not just distribution, the widespread that is happening here.
It's pervasive. It's very widespread. There are a lot of steps that we have to take to deal with that. At this local level, there are definitely things that we can do. What comes to mind right now in terms of young people gravitating towards it, we've seen the documentary Death by Design. Anybody seen that documentary? It's online if you haven't. Click on it. There's a young brother, he was a student at Eastside High School when I worked there. And when they interviewed him in the documentary, this is his words. He said, you know, the drug dealers, they hire, every time I put an application in there, they're hiring.
Where's his father?
It's a good point, but no, it's an excellent point because we got to get to that. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to put something in context. He said that that they're hiring, but when everywhere else he goes, he's not. They're not hiring, so they're making it. Most young people think that to be a rap artist, a basketball player, some sports figure, that is the way out. So they've been engineered into this direction. We have to find ways to move them in another direction, and that is by establishing some jobs, real jobs that you can take care of a family. Livable jobs. And just respond to being able to go to Mike and these fathers, these kids are coming out of homes. They're not falling out of the sky. And we need to be backtracking on that. They have fathers, they have mothers, they're in these churches, they're in these other institutions, and we have to backtrack on this here. The only way we're going to get a hand, you got to go to the root of the problem, right?
One, I appreciate the opportunity. It's a wonderful platform. I think it needs to be continued. It's one simple word. It's a matter of respect. When you look at the respect that the community has gotten for a number of years, when I look around the room, the faces of this room, these are faces that I'm familiar with for the past 40 plus years. There is a well, some not as 40 plus. Young lady she gave me the list like maybe. But some of the faces, as I was a young person, I'm very familiar with it, and it just boils down to the people that we elect and the amount of respect that they have for the entire community, and that goes back and forth. So who do we hold accountable? We need to hold our pastors accountable. Don't allow them to come into our church if they're not going to have a full circle of commitment there. Don't commit to us during campaign time and then during another season you know, there's a completely different agenda. It's a matter of respect, where I respect my community enough that I'm going to be in that community. Something transpired over the weekend, which I'm gonna tell you what, I can't tell you how proud I am to be, the respect level that's given to me in Paterson. Somebody broke into my business and stole my firearm over the weekend. Now, 18 years there, I just got a little comfortable because I've never been broken in. I sometimes leave the door open. I had somebody doing some work around the area, and that person managed to steal my firearm, sold it on the street. So when I went down into the street, into the neighborhood, I retrieved my firearm within a matter of 20 minutes. It was returned back to me. I didn't have to pay for it. I didn't have to negotiate and bargain for it. It was a matter of respect that they have for me in the community when they found out it belonged to me, and they understand the level of respect that I reciprocate back to them. It was returned to me. So we have to demand a higher level of respect, even from this mayor's office. The amount of deception that he's been passing along, and I've been holding the line, asking my fellow council people, listen, enough is enough. Let's draw the line in the sand right here. But if you continuously add and abate, it's just like having a child. If you let your child get away with something over and over again, they're gonna just continue to take advantage of it. If you let him smoke weed in his room, he's gonna continue to smoke weed even when his little sister's there. So if we don't, as a community, make demands on what it is that we expect from our elected officials, then this is what we're gonna continue to get. And my anticipation is that the worst is yet to come. The worst is yet to come. And it's gonna be very important for this this block and this community to make sure that we hold firm on what those demands and what those expectations are.
Amen.
Yeah. That's the only way you're going to make a change. If you go out there right now and march, we've been marching over 400 years. That ain't going to make a change. It's laws. Make it strict enough so they say, hey, I can't afford to do that time. You have to ask for something that did.
There was a need to protect people from communal disease, AIDS, the spread of the disease. So they came up through the AIDS Foundation, thanks to my sister Victoria, researched this here. The AIDS Foundation with Elton John. They have an office in New York, which we didn't get the opportunity to go to, but we're going to go. So we understand there was a great need for that, you know, so that communal diseases wouldn't be passed on. This here needle exchange program is irresponsible. They're not accountable. We have needles literally all over. I went to the school, 6, and spoke with the principal last week regarding our program on April the 20th in the park, because we wanted to extend over there so we can have maybe the pony rides over there for the children. And she said, the needles, they're just all over. So they're not accountable, they're not responsible. We want them gone. The other thing, 1 minute, brother, 1 minute. The other issue is the feeding programs. The feeding program. We invited Humble Beginnings, Akbar McIntyre, who was the CEO of Humble Beginnings. We invited Desire and Hope to be here. They said they would be, maybe they're late. You know, I seen Akbar was over there with his band. Maybe he's out, he'll be here. I forget the name of the other one. They're having a negative impact on the community. It is like a candle, as my Arabic teacher used to tell me. He said, don't be a candle where you're giving light on one end and you're burning down the form on the other end. Now, are we against feeding people? No, indeed. Because my wife used to cook food, enough food, that I would come outside every day, and when I was doing vending, I brought enough food for the people that I knew was in the area and needed something to eat. We're supposed to feed people, the needy. This is a great spiritual thing, and this is something that intrinsically human beings are connected when we care about one another. But the programs they haven't, they're not organized and structured in a way that we are getting the maximum benefit, and they have an adverse effect on the community. Not only are people in the lines nodding out, but they have caused a rat infestation that is beyond epidemic. And I beg you, come down through here at night and just cut the camera on. You will not believe the rats this big like this. I mean, rats. And the more you service, it seems like the more they multiply. So the feeding programs, you know, I don't recall a meeting with any of them, you know, coming to the neighborhood and saying, look, we want to feed. If somebody comes in front of your house and set up feeding, is that okay? To start that? No. You should at least come into a neighborhood, let them know. I know they tried to come in the first ward, and the first ward rejected it because they seen the impact that it's having in these here areas. We think those feeding programs need to be in a more controlled environment, and not happening. I mean, they're literally staggering from the gas station down here to the health center. And if you go around the back, you'll throw up.
So what are these feeding people that come here, which I see all the time, what you're talking about, picking up their drugs, going out the neighborhood, or supplying them through that process? It's all right back to the drugs.
Yeah. So again, these are some areas that are impacting this part of the city that we're focusing on. This heart and soul, this Broadway. It's a pervasive problem, and those council people that are not here, yeah, they need to be shamed about this. They need to be told about this here. Why are you not here? Why are you not bringing your voice up forward? Someone had their hand up. The young man. Oh, Bosco first. The elder.
How you doing? My name is Bosco Bell, born and raised in Paterson. I actually have my eyes on the Broadway Strip too, because I saw the feeding and I saw it wasn't working. I'm in the process of opening an alcohol and drug program. I want to treat the disease of addiction. See, if we don't address the disease of addiction, we're going to spin our tires. Like, you can't tell somebody that's, like he talked about somebody breaking into his stuff, you can't tell somebody that's high that they shouldn't do what they're doing to get another bag.
Absolutely.
So I set up a program to address the addiction. That's why I came tonight, because somebody told me once the solution part starts, we're going to talk about treatment. Because some of those people out there is our younger brothers, sisters, family members. It ain't like there's a bunch of strangers out there.
Right.
All right? I walked in on you talking about the working piece. I actually have a case manager that I'm training to go to the jobs, go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, go to the job itself and try to connect with the people so that our graduates or our successful clients can be referred to them for jobs. Another component of my program is for me to train counselors to help provide the service. Like, we can't forget, please don't forget the addictive part of this. You can't forget that part, because that's the driving force, that's the motivating force. That these people are under the grip of an addiction, right? That some of them have had for years. I know some of these dudes. You talking about 40 years? Like, I know them 40 years and they've been getting high 40 years. You know what I mean? Never had a break. But it's because as a community, we didn't provide a break. We didn't provide, well, you know, we got our different programs. We got Straight and Narrow, we got English Village, we got, I think up there they got Integrity House, or on Broadway they got Turning Point. They got a couple of places, right? But they not coming looking for them. They're hoping that they walk out of the ghetto up to the program.
Bosco,
not gonna happen.
No, and I'm glad that you came, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is what we were expecting from the Humble Beginnings program.
Okay.
Because in their mission statement, they supposed to have been doing assessments, evaluations, data, referrals, all of this here. And all we see is feeding, and we see it as a enabler. That's the word. And there's no doubt about it. You're absolutely correct. These are family members. Listen, let me come around, let me just open my heart and soul up to you. I was married to a woman for 16 years who was an addict. She gave birth to my children. She tore my heart and soul. I loved it of that woman. I watched that woman, struggle. I got sick going, torn to the hospital. So I know that it is a deep spiritual problem. It's a deep spiritual problem. And that I eventually divorced that woman because I couldn't take it anymore. But because she gave birth, she's the mother of my children. Right. And because she gave birth to my children, she didn't abort the children.
Well, I'm gonna say this
Let
to
me
you.
finish. Let me
Hold on,
finish.
let me let you keep talking now. When you
Yeah.
keep talking. I'm equipped to make the changes that you couldn't do.
And
I'm equipped to make the changes you couldn't do.
And
I know how to take somebody from dirty to clean.
And
I know exactly how to do it.
And that's excellent because I was not equipped.
That's right.
And I was burdened. She went to an outside patient program. She wasn't going to an inside program, and she kept on relapsing.
Yeah.
And even to this here very day, she still struggles. And I pray for her, and I try to send her a message of encouragement. She's not as bad as she was, but she's the mother of my children. Her well-being is deeply my concern because my children feel her vibration. Not only that, her addiction has affected the social behavior of my children to this day. And most of them are grown, with the exception of 2. But they have been impacted by it. So it's still a healing process. Even when I'm talking, dealing with my children now, and they're in their young, early 20s, because things that they went through, I was oblivious to because it was hid, and it was psychologically beat down. You tell your father you're going to take y'all from us. So they were too small to understand, but they recorded and remember, and the impact is there. So this is what we. This is
any way we can help.
This is what we need.
I'm prepared to help. I have a good group of people around me to start the process.
Okay, let us speak.
Thank you. I just want to say, I'm happy to be here, but, I've always been a community person. I've always been out there 30, 40 years ago, just working in the community. And what I find is that if we're gonna take back our community, we have to do it. We have to do it. We can't sit home and wait for the cops to show up 3 hours later because they ain't gonna show up. So, and I lived on 27th Street, and I'm gonna tell you, I live in a hot spot, and I can understand when people talk about hot spot. But believe me, out of the 15 that we have, 7 of them are in my ward. And believe me, I get the phone calls that people are able to go to bed at night before 5 o'clock. They can go to bed now at 1 o'clock because they're shutting down at 12 o'clock. But what we did on my neighborhood, I'm on 27th Street, right off of 10th Avenue. And what we decided to do, some of my neighbors, and what we did was we went outside with a pad in our hand. We said, okay, y'all want to come down the street? Y'all want to buy drugs? We got in front of their cars, sometimes acting like we was writing down license plates. And sometimes we were writing down license plates. And then we would turn it over to the police. Like, we would get a list of them. These are the cars coming in my area, waiting for the man to come down the street so he can pass off what he gonna pass off. But you know what? And then they started looking at us like, wow, I bet not go on 27th Street no more, or by 10th Avenue, no more. Because you know what? I'm not sure if my car's gonna be, they're gonna stop me. Yeah, they're gonna stop you on your way out. Because I can text it to them. They're gonna stop you on your way out before you hit Route 20 or before you hit on 80, and I can pull you over. And even suspicion of search, they can search for some reason. So I'm saying to us here that we have to, as a neighborhood, we have to work together. We have to say, and you know what? What I find sometimes, people don't want to tell you the truth. Mary Jo, your boy is selling drugs, Mary Jo. Mary Jo, you live over here, 25th Street. Your son is, no, Mary Jo, what we gonna do about him? We got to say that. You might get mad with me, Mary Jo, but I got to tell you, your son is messing up the neighborhood. We got to come out and start telling people.
We used to do it.
We did it.
We used to do it.
When your kids didn't act right, if your kids did not act right, somebody came to your house and told you. And then that was another, but I'm saying we together, we can do a lot of things together. And I just want to say to you that we have to get back together, or working together. Like, I ain't got nothing to hide, I ain't doing nothing illegal, I ain't doing none of that. So, people, when you don't want to see your neighbors because they hiding something from you, they doing something, they ain't got no business. And that's why they don't, or they got illegal apartments, basement, attic. Just get right, get your house in order. When you get your house in order, then you can be fine. But when you can't, that's what we got. So, thank you, Bilal. But I'm just saying we can all work together. And I know Bilal's going to make sure that he keeps up with everybody put their email, because everything is email now. So he'll email you for everything. But I found that, let me tell you something, and I just say one more thing, and 4th of July, my phone was going off so bad on 4th of July, probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I started looking at it. I got out about 2 o'clock in the morning, put my clothes on, I went out. If you could have seen what this city looked like on 4th of July night at 2 o'clock, if you could have just seen the amount of people, and they weren't all old people. To me, they were young children, 14 to 18, just hanging out. People, how you do not know where your kids are? How you letting your kids hang out to that time of night? I couldn't even go down Rosa Parks from Lafayette. I couldn't even get through there. I couldn't even go down 26th Street.
Down just 26.
Oh, forget it. That's what we had.
Yeah,
So
that's the problem.
It's
You
infestation of
don't got
drugs.
pride. People don't have pride in their city.
no, but I'm just saying, if I got children, how do I let my kids be out? They're only 15, 16. They in the club? No, we ain't got no clubs no more.
They are drugs.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
When I dialogue with a lot of our brothers and sisters who are in active addiction,
Yeah.
and you ask their story,
Yeah.
two things are prevalent. There's a formula for them being out there. One is a lot of sexual abuse in the home.
Yes.
2,
Yep.
parental neglect.
Yep.
A lot of these kids, these adults, raise themselves. No parental guidance in the home. One young lady told me at 11 years old, she had to clean up after her parents' get high parties. She sniffed coke for the first time at 11 years old. There's a Guyanese proverb that says the ruin of a nation begins in the home. So everything that's going on outside begins in someone's home. We got to take control back. We know our sons are. I chased a car full of Caucasian people getting high out of Silk City parking lot, the laundromat. 5 of us screaming, "Get out of our neighborhood! Stop coming here and buying drugs!" They packed up and left, but not before he put his car and parked and stuck his head out the window. He said, "I tell you what, B, tell your uncles, your brothers, and your husbands to stop selling drugs in the community, and we won't come." I ain't too many times tongue-tied, but the cat had my tongue after that, and I had to hold my head down and walk off, because that's the truth. A dope dealer and a hustler are 2 different things.
Okay.
If you can hustle, you can sell anything. If you can only sell dope, then you're just a destructive dope dealer in the community. We
Okay.
laugh with them, we eat with them, we
Victoria.
smile with them, we say hello, and we don't tell them what you doing.
Okay, Mike, and I see you, Juanita, and then Churchman.
I'm gonna be very brief. I took a few notes. I think one of the things that we need to put in perspective, all of us, regardless if you're black, Spanish, white, if you grew up in Paterson, more than likely have very, very similar circumstances. You know, as a young kid growing up, I would wake up with free base bottles in my house, and therefore I don't drink, I don't smoke. I've never smoked, and because of the impact that it had on me when I was a kid. So we all have stories. They're the same. One of the things that disappointed me often, every time my family we get together, we hear the same stories. Oh, your grandfather used to beat me like this, and Alabama You hear the same stories. Then nostalgic value is great to hear, but when you go every single year, it's like, you know, you heard that story again. When are we going to begin to make new stories? So part of what I would like to see, and I think this is fantastic, but I don't want to see us leave here without understanding what the purpose is.
That's right.
Like, for example, if we have an issue with the needle program, I would like to see us right now put on the calendar
That's right.
a date that we all will reunite
That's right.
and get out in front of there with a great press release. We get every news outlet to come over there and we protest their existence.
You gotta publicly shame them.
And we should be out there in large numbers. It should be every organization, every group, every fraternal organization, every church should make their way to be out there. If your elected official's not there, then you should definitely shame them. We should be out there protesting because they are bringing this problem into our community. You know, one of the things that I really wanted to put a spotlight on, was taking my daughter to the college, to the preschool. And I was overdue on a late fee for like $12. They told me I can't bring her back until I pay $12. A woman coming in behind me, $8. No, she can't come in. $12? What if I had to go to work? And I'm a mother. The compassion that these organizations have for our communities. Now, let's take this and put it in perspective. Colleges don't pay taxes on 85% of all the properties they own in this community. And they make money off of our elements. So does Straighten Out, so does Eva's Village, so does St. Paul's. They make money, they come here, you have nonprofits that's flocking into this community because there is money involved in the poverty and the drug rehabilitation, or what they say is rehabilitation, because there's no real intent on rehabilitating. It's a matter of enabling, as Mr. Gilmore said. So that's another issue that I would like to see before we leave. You got stories, and we know you used to run the block, and we know, you know, KC cut nice here, but what are we gonna do? What could we put on the agenda, on the calendar, to make sure that we have solid dates, so these young people understand that we're people of action?
That's right.
And say, look, on the 30th, we're gonna protest this organization. On this date, we are demanding that every 501c3 that receives money from the CDBG block grant come and they hear from the community themselves. And what impact do they have on our community? And we don't do that. Then we'll be here next week telling more stories, and the room will be lighter because some people are getting frustrated with hearing the same stories over and over. So I'll leave it there. Y'all wait for your...
Excuse me.
Yeah,
We can say, excuse me, just 1 minute. We can sing together, but we can't speak at one time. And this outburst, we gotta just have to just calm down a minute. This is one of the reasons why I did invite, you know, Mike and Dave and others to this meeting, because so we can stay focused. Because we didn't. It's not an alternative to feel good. I can be home with my woman just enjoying myself, relaxing, playing checkers, or just doing what we do. But this is very, very serious, and it's about solution. What he just mentioned, like he said, he took notes. I've been taking notes as well. One of the other things that I wanted to mention, since he just mentioned that, is that one of the things that we want to come out of this here is that in terms of public safety, and I've been speaking to Director Beal about this here, the officers are given assignments every day. They're assigned in different wards. I had a conversation with 2 officers last week in front of Barber's Park, and we asked them, listen, we've been to the front desk, we have requested, made a formal request, that the officers come through, make their rounds through it. Come through here, through this area, don't just cruise through, get out, move on. When Officer Billy last name? Sarah's brother. Billy. Officer Billy. When he was assigned this area, right here. He came through the area and he stopped right there in front of Sammy's place. And he got out the car. And he said to everyone and everybody else out there, he said, if you're not handling any business at any of these stores, when I come back around, you better be gone from here. And if it takes that, then you do that. Now, the officers told us that they take certain calls as a priority call. Now, I'm saying to you, all of you, what the hell do we have on the books for ordinances that say that, I'm dealing with the parks now, go to the park. The parks close at 10 o'clock. Why the hell is they on the books closed at 10 o'clock if nobody's going to enforce it? Why? The nuisance laws of the city. Why? The loitering law. So it has to be enforced. The police at 10 o'clock dealing with the parks. We need them making them run. This park here, Barber Park, we need them making them rounds at this here park. What area where I'm at, you have to be out of here. That is one of the issues that we have some people applying some pressure to, because they close at 10 o'clock. And making their rounds. This is a priority to us. The police ought to respond to the concerns of our needs. Every area has specific needs. And every area has specific needs. And the police have to respond. They work for us, y'all. They work for us. They work for us. Although
They work for the corporation.
listen, we understand that right there. We're not trying to go that deep in here right now. Sister, I'm with you.
All right,
We're
then
paying
we're
their salary,
No.
not gonna take
No,
it.
no, we're not.
Why do you
Hold
think
it,
they
guys.
paid more
Sister,
today? Because
sister,
they tampered with
sister.
corporation stuff and 4 tires on
Sister,
that car.
we understand that.
That's why.
We understand. We're not speaking to that. We speak in the context of our tax dollars, paid their salaries. They work for us. They work for us. Therefore, we have to. If the police in our area, there are issues in our area. Look, we have a lot of burglaries going on in our area, right? Just using a hypothetical. We have to register that right there. We need this here address. They work for you. They work for you. They're supposed to. We can debate that some other time. We can debate that another time,
for the white
sister.
community.
Because they stick together.
But they work for a corporation in the
Right.
black community?
No. Excuse
I'm
me.
trying to understand.
You
Yeah.
go to the Furlong, it looks strange, you have 20 people out the window talking about, hey, I got this suspicious person over here. You're in Paterson, nobody
work
picks
for
up
the
the
people.
phone, nobody calls nobody.
So
You need community to work
Accountability.
So that is one of the issues there, is that they have to be accountable to our concerns and our needs. Now, what I'm telling you, I'm not out of my mind. I was at a meeting with 4,000 people, with people that's smarter than me and smarter than a lot of people up in here. And everything that she's talking about in terms of the corporate status of the police, all of that is understood right there. And I ain't arguing with her. But the bottom line, our tax dollars pays their salary, they work for us. We're not their servants.
He does have the ability to give you needles based on your sexual history and what type of diseases you may have if you're a heroin user. So part of the needle exchange is to help stop the spread of HIV, hepatitis, and other blood-borne illnesses. So you can't take away the needle exchange program and think there's not going to be needles anywhere around. We already started calling a bunch of pharmacies to see about how many packs of needles that they sell, maybe every month. Because you can go in the pharmacy and go get a 20 pack for like $5. You have diabetes, people with diabetes who are selling their needles on Broadway.
Right.
This is not just a well-equipped issue.
Right.
It really is. He's been here operating the needle exchange for many years before the heroin epidemic hit. So you guys are kind of like, I understand you want to place that blame on him, and he was supposed to come here tonight because we did invite him to come down here tonight. But he is open to talking to explain his program and not necessarily be attacked, so you can understand how the needle exchange works. So I think to invite him to a meeting would be the best thing instead of rolling up in front of his place protesting something you don't understand.
Okay, I just want to say this here. You say he was invited. Did he tell you? Did he tell you why he didn't come?
No, he did not tell me why he didn't
Lack
come.
of
We
respect.
invited him
No,
to come.
listen.
No, I'm telling you loud.
I'm listening to you.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I just asked one
But
question.
you're about to attack me. Don't
No, I'm not
attack me.
gonna. I'm not.
What I'm saying is, we didn't
I'm not
tell him
gonna-
about the meeting. I don't know why he was not.
I'm not-
I don't know if he was invited here or not, but we did tell him and ask him.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, don't make an assumption that I'm about to attack you. I listened to you attentively. I have a right to respond to what you're saying. So I'm asking you to listen as
I
well.
wasn't finished responding and he started to.
I didn't say anything. I asked you, did he?
No, he did not tell me. I haven't spoken to him since we invited him to come out.
Okay, now listen to you, and now my response.
But I don't know if you guys invited him. It's
I-
not our meeting to necessarily officially invite him to come out, but he's open to that. Because he hasn't, and I don't know if anyone know, they haven't been exchanging needles from October
No, I heard
to
you.
January. There was no needle exchange
No,
because he
I
ran
heard
out of
you.
money.
I heard you.
Okay.
Now, let me respond to you. Yes, he was invited, and he was very arrogant. Now, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned, he was very arrogant.
Okay.
And I take that disrespectful that he didn't come, because if he could not have come, he could have called and left a voicemail like everyone else. No. I'm not asking you to be a spokesperson. I'm just responding. You came and spoke on this behalf, and I'm just responding. Not to go back and forth with you. Okay, well, all right, let me just get back. The needle exchange program, going to G, we see this in needle exchange program, even though if there was an interruption as she has narrated, they have impacted the environment. And although there's an opium problem, an opioid problem, 45 just talked about it, right? He talked about it last week. It's an opioid problem because it's affecting suburban. But when black people were nodding, when the very buildings were nodding, it wasn't an issue. And these are things that we live and witness. Touche, we take that. We see the needle exchange program as a problem, and it's all right for them to come to a meeting. But I think, again, it's the voice of public opinion sometimes brings these people out to shame. This is what we used to do. We used to go to judges' house when they were violating people like Mumia Abu Jamal and others. Go to their house, take thousands of people right in front of the judge's house and let them know what this shameful person is doing on the bench. Coming home with a Brook Brothers suit on like he's so dignified, but doing shame all day long. So we have a problem with it. If you don't have a problem with it, touche.
I actually do work for the Department of Health. Just to give you a brief background about myself, I work for the Department of Health in East Orange. I'm a registered environmental health specialist. I'm also contracted with the City of Orange as a registered environmental health specialist. In the past, I also worked for Camden County Department of Health. The whole county, I was a registered environmental health specialist for that. So basically what I'm getting at right here, there's concerns as it relates to needle being tossed around in the parks and stuff like that. There's steps that one can take to address this issue. First of all, you try to reach out to that health department, the city health department, maybe have a meeting scheduled with the health officer, the director of health, and try to see what they have been doing to fight or combat this issue that seems to be plaguing the neighborhood. That's very systemic. The other thing is, if they're not doing anything or you don't feel like it's going anywhere, go to the state level, the Environmental Protection Agency, and call them, notify them that you're having this systemic issue and you don't feel like it's being handled by the local people who are put in charge to do so. And then they will now reach out to the health department, who will then work with the mayor. They'll devise a plan to work with the mayor to achieve the goal of having no drugs or like no needles to be within the neighborhood. You know, it's just a chain of command thing that we have to follow. We can't just like get here and just try to raise our voices at each other without listening to each other. You know, communication is key, and I think everyone here deserves the right to speak respectfully without someone interrupting them. So anyway, I digress. So basically what I'm saying is the proper channels and chain of command, if you do that, then I think you will definitely get some work done instead of, you know, just basically talk and nothing happens. That's it.
No, I definitely want to get your information. I appreciate the zero in on that focus. Feel it gets somebody that didn't speak yet. Sister Akila?
Yeah, I'm thinking about some things that a couple people said earlier, talking about the laws that we need. But we have laws, and somebody, and I think it was you that talked about, you know, getting the police and whoever else to enforce the laws. Because even now, we're here at the library, we are 2 feet, not 1,000 feet from the school, but 2 feet from the school. Back in the day, if you got caught smoking a split 1,000 feet away from the school, you went to jail for like 2 years or 3 years or something like that. Now, you can shoot, though, you can do anything you want. The cops will come, they'll bring you the Narcan, bring you back to life, ask you if you want to go for help, and if not, send you on your merry way to get high again. Mad because you blew your high with Narcan. But now the laws that exist are, instead of being enforced, they're being altered and modified so that it's okay for the people who are starting to see now, we're getting high. We're getting high everywhere, in every bathroom, every facility that they go to. And I think we need to try to figure out how we can address that, because the laws are there, you know, and not all, we may need more than what we have, but what we already know exists, even to protect the children at school. We don't see any, you can do anything, stand in front of medical school, more or less being 1,000 feet away from it. So I think that, you know, you and yourself, that those were some of the probably the points that would be of paramount importance when we get ready to try to figure out what we can do. How do we get the people? We gotta come away from these meetings with some path to a solution, even if we don't find it. We have to come away with some path, because that's the only thing that's gonna keep the people keep coming out. So if we can figure out some ways that we can address the powers that be, identify the powers that be, because right now I don't even know who they are, is so out of hand. But we need to figure that out, and then at least get them to enforce the laws that used to be, you know.
Yeah, I think the young man that spoke. I think the young man that spoke before you, he zeroed in on something that is definitely workable. Where we should contact the local health department, you know, to address this here problem with the widespread of these here needles. Although you know, some say it's not coming from that program. Well, identify where they're coming from. They're not coming from that program. That's the program that we're witnessing. We're witnessing that it's a problem with needles, pervasive, widespread throughout the area, and having a very negative and a potential health a problem for the residents, you know, here. So I think that step is definitely something where we need to apply that pressure in terms of a diplomatic approach, you know. And since others are in conversation with them, maybe they can serve as a liaison, let them know that this is our concern right here. We want them in a public forum. Yes.
But they mentioned the state. We do have representatives from Assemblyman Wembley's office. His chief of staff is right
Yeah,
here.
I'm getting ready to go right to her. Because I did reach out to him as well. Yes.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Yvette Baldwin, and I'm
in a community meeting.
And in reference to the legal exchange program that is here in Paterson, if there's an issue, if you are supposed to reach back out to the state. So what I will do tomorrow is contact the Department of Health to let them know that there's an ongoing issue. Or maybe they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They come, you know, there's a regulation that goes with this program. And so they should come out and they can, you know, investigate and make sure that the way that they're doing is the way that the law has stated. If it's outside of their program, there's nothing, you know, you can make a formal complaint down to the city, you know, have the Department of Health come out.
Yes.
But if it's not coming from their program. But I will reach out to them tomorrow, find out when they can come out and speak with them.
No, well, we definitely appreciate it. You can contact us back. I'll give you my number. I didn't get a chance to make the exhibits because they didn't go through. But this is the picture that I took yesterday. This is the Well of Hope. This is in the back of the Well of Hope. Okay. This is the needles and stuff. This is in the back of it. Okay. I pulled up. I seen somebody back there, so I pulled my car over to see what was going on, and there was a guy back there getting ready to actually shoot up. So he said, "Who are you?" I said, "Who are you? What are you doing back here?" And he said, "Well, I'm not even from here." I said, "Well, what are you doing back here?" He was melanoid, just like me. Okay, just to let y'all know, he was black. I said, look, you're not out here, man. I said, you know, you need to get yourself some help. So this is right in back of their facility, and it's an ongoing thing, because I went to several places on several different occasions and took pictures at one time.
Well, all the people, I'll tell you what's happening. All the people who have money are going to the Bahamas or Mexico and just doing it.
Yeah, but they
and you can come back and be off of drugs in a week and go back to your job and not be coming down Paterson to score anymore.
But I'm saying, like, this epidemic is affecting, like, Middle America, Ohio, Pennsylvania, why aren't they pushing this as a solution to the epidemic that's affecting the greater white community?
People are. But I need somebody with an in with Chris Christie. And in Ohio, they don't have an in with Chris Christie.
Yeah, but Jersey, the suburban Jersey is being devastated, as we can see in our community.
Well, do you want people to have access to a treatment that would help this man who's running a rehab? Because people do so much better in rehab and they take less time.
I mean, my question is not, I'm just saying, why isn't the white community rallying around this?
What he's saying is there's money, people who are making money, whether it's through the treatment
I understand that, but I'm saying, why isn't the white community stepping up and saying, oh, I want this treatment?
Well, that is a problem. You know, that a lot of people have heard about it. I've got a video I can show you right now if I have a monitor. 6 minutes from Law and Order Special Victims Unit. And it's actually very accurate. They used it for one of their shows, and they show a kid, a 16-year-old kid, and the big question is it going to work? And at the end of the show, it works, and the crooked psychiatrist that's boffing all the 14-year-old girls, right? He gets busted supplying heroin to that kid. Because you ever seen a junkie give back a bag of heroin? Right. The kid turns the bag of heroin over to the cop, gave him a wire to wear. Now this is a dramatization. And I'm not saying I'm doing this to make the cops' jobs easier. I'm doing it because I think we can get this thing here. We can have it here in this country. And you won't have to go to the Bahamas. And you won't have to pay $3,500 to $10,000, which is what they're charging right now, because it's a gray market. It's outside the United States. You got to go outside the United States.
Excuse me, what did you say the name of that plan?
Ibogaine. Google it. Ibogaine. Google it. Please, you'll be a revelation to you that this thing exists and people aren't talking about it.
And you say you get it from the Bahamas?
You can go to the Bahamas and take it on Long Island. You can go to Mexico. They have something like 30 clinics in Mexico. They're doing the land office business. But, this should be paid for by the government. The government is paying to warehouse people in sober homes for months at a time, because that's what it takes to recover if you don't have something to help the recovery along. If you don't have some kind of medical intervention to make the recovery work faster, it's going to take a long time. So you got either you're keeping people warehoused at enormous cost to insurance companies and Medicaid, or you're giving them Suboxone, which people sell in the street. So if you want to have another alternative, you've got to actually stand up and say, I think that we got to add something, because what we have is not working. What we have now is insufficient. We wouldn't have a crisis if Suboxone was the answer, because we have plenty of Suboxone.
I just have to say this real quick. Afghanistan war. Anybody know that was over? No. You understand when Afghanistan war was over? Opium. Opium. They took control of opium fields because China depends on opium more than any other country. Okay? And the extra supply comes here to the United States. So what you're telling me here is right now is that you want to tell the United States government stop making billions of dollars off this drug, okay, and put a cure in here so they can stop, and all these other people down to the lowest form in this country to stop making thousands, like they said, $5,000 a week.
That's what we do.
That's what you're trying to tell me?
That's what we do.
I'll tell you something.
Okay.
In 1972, at the Democratic Convention, I got up and asked George McGovern about the Vietnamese heroin. I was the first person to go on talking about the fact the CIA is dealing drugs.
Thank you.
First
Thank you.
person.
Yeah, let's get down.
I was the first one. I was a Gippy. We fought against the Vietnam War. We stopped the war. Okay? But later I came to see that this problem with addiction is only going to be stopped one addict at a time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree
You
with
got
that.
to get rid of the demand. If you don't get rid of the demand, someone will always be there to
And you
sell.
can't get rid of demand. The demand is bigger than Paterson.
No.
I
because the
understand what
demand-
you're saying.
I
Higher
said
laws right
we
now,
can
Paterson will
cut-
do it.
We can
I'm
cut
saying, why
the
is the
demand
white
and the
community
supply in
rallying
half.
around this to get,
So,
you know,
30 years.
that's what I'm saying.
Too bad.
Because their kids are the ones that are being affected, so why aren't they saying, oh, you know, this is a cure-all, quick cure-all, I want this for my child.
It's being withheld, they don't know about it.
Well, why aren't they?
Absolutely.
You got the
Give them
internet.
some knowledge about addiction.
If we can get them to know about it, we do this extremely public play and have testimony in front of the open. I understand, there's open commission going on right now, and nobody can tell them about it.
So the problem, so the problem is you just can't get it introduced. That's what you're saying. You can't get this drug introduced to the government so they can see this.
No, they know
and see
about
that.
it. They
If
don't
they
wanna
know
deal
about
with
it,
it.
see that's the problem. If they know about it, if I know I got something to cure everybody in here and I got the love of humanity.
Money boils down to cash money.
Right, so we dealing with business. This ain't nothing but business. So the heroin epidemic been here forever.
Let me say this right
With
now.
us.
Just come on a minute. Let me say this here. We're gonna have an opportunity for Dana to deal specifically with that right there. We wanna get back to some of the solutions.
That's right.
8:15, we out of here, okay?
Thank you
The
for your
first,
time.
thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
And we got more people, more